And welcome to another episode of Wellness with EAC. I'm Nicole Guanzura, and I have the joy and privilege of being your host. I am so happy you have returned to the episode. If you've been kicking it with us for the last couple of weeks, going into a couple of months now, actually, with this podcast. And if you are new here, welcome. On this side of the internet, on this side of the podcast world, we talk about career wellness and our faith journeys and how that intersects with our personal and professional lives. Some weeks I am going to have some guests on talking about different topics, and in other weeks we're going to have a one-on-one, just get chatty on certain topics, either things that you have submitted and shared feedback on, things I can give you my professional expertise on. I have worked in higher education and early career development for the last decade, over a decade now at this point. And a lot of the work that I do as a career development consultant is focused on career wellness. And those three pillars that we focus on are professional development, mental well-being, as well as financial literacy, because we really believe that in the work that we do, it's important that for you to get to career success, it is a little bit of a math combination, right? It is career confidence plus career wellness, which is going to equal to your career success. And as you're navigating your professional development, whether you're transitioning from your educational journey into your career, from careers into the next step of your higher education, you should do it in a way that is informed, in a way that is fulfilling, in a way that you know you have support and resources. We're not here to reinvent the wheel. We're here to encourage you and support you along your journey. And I think this is a really great conversation to be having right now in May, because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And while mental health matters at all times, I just mentioned it's one of the pillars of the work that we do at EAC. This month in particular, there's a lot more attention drawn to the topics. And for today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about it, but from the perspective of I want to share some of the statistics around mental health, and I want to be able to also share some mindset checks with you all. You want to call them affirmations, you want to, call them pieces of encouragement, thought nuggets, whatever it is, but the inspiration behind these mindset checks are to encourage you. They come out of a wellness guide our team recently created, and we share a lot internally with our clients, but wanted to bring it to you as a resource so that you can have it as you are navigating your career journey, no matter what stage of that it looks like, right? And if you've listened to any of the previous episodes, you'll know that my wellness journey is multifaceted as a podcast host, as a mom, as a Christ follower, as a someone who's passionate about women's ministry. You already know a little bit on the career side. So there's so many components of wellness that are regularly affecting my life. And also then there's the other side of things that we may not always talk about, but are experiencing challenges through motherhood, experiencing challenges through entrepreneurship. Because one thing about life is always going to life. And one thing about people, people are always going to people. So how do we handle that? How do we manage that? What resources are available? And I have a couple of episodes where I do talk about that. And today specifically, I want to talk about this mental health aspect. Did you know that approximately 9.5% of American adults ages 18 or over will suffer from a depressive illness. So this could be major depression, this could be bipolar disorder, and this is happening each year. 9.5% are going to, this is will suffer. This is not the folks that are already suffering from this. And an estimated 26% of Americans age 18 and older. So think about it, more digestible, 1 in 4 adults suffers from a diagnosable mental disorder in a given year. Diagnosable. It doesn't mean that it has already been diagnosed. It doesn't mean that this person is aware of it, but they suffer from something that is diagnosable. I will give a caveat. I am not a mental health expert at all. When we incorporate the mental health aspect of our work, we bring in experts from anywhere from public health to mental health. We bring in social workers, we bring in clinicians, and then we also bring people to talk about their personal and professional experiences with mental health to give it a well-rounded experience. So as I'm talking about this, much of it is my opinion because of my experience. I'm not someone who's qualified to diagnose anything. I'm not someone who is whose advice you should take as a medical professional, because that's not who I am. I'm simply coming to you with some input from my personal and professional experience, just as a human who's dealt with mental health and also works with folks that go through that as part of their career wellness journey. And these statistics I'm sharing with you too are coming from Hopkins Medicine, so Johns Hopkins Medicine's website. And it's interesting, some of the statistics. So one of the things they share on this website is that major depression can develop at any age, but average onset is in the mid 20s. And think of what's happening in your mid 20s. A lot of time you've graduated from high school, you are now you could be in college at the time, depending on if you just went straight through. Or maybe you went through the military, you took a different path. And so then if you're coming from college, you are starting in your mid 20s, you are fresh out of college. You're still in the earliest part of your career trying to navigate what's next for you. And there's challenges that come to that. Maybe you are someone who was first generation like me and was the first in my family to graduate from a university here in the United States. I was the first of my siblings to get a degree. My dad had a higher degree, and he had his bachelor's degree. It was back in Zimbabwe, so he had enough knowledge, of course, about the importance of education, my family bringing us here, but the knowledge of how to navigate that in the United States, he didn't have that, right? So they took the first step of bringing us. And my mom, at the time when we moved, had to cut short her education because the economy and where it was, her higher education, the economy and where it was at the time in Zimbabwe, and just the climate, they had to leave. And so when they brought us here, then they were focused on us getting our education. And each one of my siblings took their own path. I went the super traditional path. I went and got an undergraduate degree, and then I got an MBA, which is a master's in business administration afterwards. And then while I was finishing up my master's degree, my mom decided to then pursue her full bachelor's degree and her master's degree. I remember taking her to register for classes. They thought I was a student, but I actually wasn't. It was my mama doing her thing. And she went back and did that after she had done the majority of the rearing of the kids. And she went and pursued that later in life, got her master's. We were there yelling and screaming excitedly when she walked across that stage, not just once but twice, because she went and did it. So it was a very non-traditional path. So it depends, right, on what your situation is. And then for some people too, some of their experiences might be you graduate from college and you are now responsible for your family's income. Um, Maybe your life was a little bit different from the starting stage. So mid 20s can mean so much for many people. Or maybe you went through trade school, did something a little bit different, and you started earning a lot of money really quickly, and you're trying to figure out how to manage that money, right? Because just because it comes in large amounts, if you're not a good steward of it, it's going to disappear just as quickly as it's coming in. So there's a lot that happens. So I can understand why major depression would set in at that stage of life or in that season of life. I completely understand that. And so, one of the things I think about as well is, well, what happens in that stage? Are you looking for resources? Are you able to call on somebody? Are you able to talk to a third party? If you're someone who's coming from certain communities, maybe it's looked down upon for you to seek mental health resources. But our bodies, let me tell you something. You've probably noticed it before. Our bodies are gonna keep track. They're gonna keep score of when we're internalizing things, because one of two things is gonna happen if you keep internalizing. You're either going to implode and your body's going to react all wackily inside, or and it'll start manifesting in different things, right? If you read or listen to things that doctors say that cause certain things in our bodies, stress can cause a lot of things. Struggles with our health can cause so many things internally. And then there's also what happens externally, right? Maybe we're a lot more irritable with our friends and our family. We're a lot less tolerant of the things that are right around us because we're really struggling. So it's really important that we're seeking the help that we need. And for someone like me who also works a lot with college students, there's a lot of conversations we're having, and so much so that I will sometimes do workshops. Our team will do workshops for high school students so that they're not getting to the point where we're seeing these college students where the struggle is now, well, I'm here, I've got to figure this out. You'll find that a lot of first generation students are graduating on average in 6 years instead of a typical 4 years, because there's so many life circumstances that comes with the burden, and the challenges of paying for school, the challenges of staying in school, and balancing all of that out. There's also things that we see with college students where there might be a taboo around seeing a therapist, whether it's trying to manage school challenges, or maybe they're going through relationship issues, because that can happen while you're in college. You're going through relationship issues, either something where it's a lot of miscommunication and it's affecting what's going on, or sometimes it could be abuse. Right. And that shame around, well, how do I talk to somebody? How do I get the help that I need? So having these conversations, we are finding that it's the increase in just all the mental health issues, and it's more important now than ever to keep having the conversations of the resources that are necessary, the offices that they need to visit on campus, and then in general, right? Because what happens when students are facing certain rejections at home or in life and career, that internship they wanted, things like that. It's nice to just be able to talk to a third party, honestly. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be that deep, but maintenance work, right? So for people who work out, that maintenance of your body. For people who are looking, if for my girlies that love their skincare, and you're doing that maintenance because there's things that you want to be able to maintain about your face, your skin, or how you value. For me, I'm on this whole journey. Sometimes you'll see me with a pop of color or mascara, but one of my big goals is continuing to maintain my skin and improve it actually from where it is, because I'm just not a huge fan of makeup. Full coverage, things like that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it just doesn't work for me. Every so often, if somebody does it, fine, we're gonna do a little do up. But for my everyday, I want my skin to look as well taken care of as possible, because that just makes it easier for my seasons of life. So that maintenance is so important. So why can't you do that? Maintenance of your hair. Maintenance of your clothes, your body. So why can't we do that for our brains, our mental health, our health that is balancing, our mind that is balancing all the thoughts every single day? That needs to be a priorities, friends. It really needs to be a priority. So I just want to encourage you today and share a couple of mindset checks around your mental health, and also just things that you can repeat back to yourself, at whether you're in your job search journey, whether you are, transitioning back to the workforce, or hey, you just need a mindset check when it comes to your general wellness. So I'm going to give you a couple of mindset checks, and I'm going to read them out slowly, and I'm going to pause. And in that pause, I invite you to repeat after me. And if you need to pause it as well so that you can just take note of it, actually, I'll make it even easier. I will upload this wellness guide with these mindset checks to our website. So you can go and download it there and put it on your mirror, put it on a sticky note, whatever you want to do. So they're already pre-written for you. So let's go ahead and do some mindset checks. And the first one, I want you to repeat after me. My life matters and has value. Next one. When my mental health is slipping, I will reach out to someone I trust. When my mental health is slipping, I will reach out to someone I trust. How does that feel? Let's do a couple more. I will not be fearful of asking for what I need to succeed. I repeat, I will not be fearful of asking for what I need to succeed. Let's do the next one. Failure isn't the end, it's an opportunity to regroup and try again. Again, failure is not the end, it's an opportunity to regroup and try again. How are we feeling about those? And the last one, I am good with budgeting and finding the freedom to manage my money. I'm good with budgeting and finding freedom in managing my money. Whether you believe any of these or not right now, There is such power in the tongue. There is such power in the words that you say to yourself and the words that you say to others. We know that when you say certain things, they have the ability to encourage or discourage someone. So put yourself in that someone's position. Put yourself in a position of how you would encourage someone you really love and care about. You're that someone, right? You love and care about yourself. And even if you're not feeling that right now, I want you to repeat it regardless until you feel it, that you love and care about yourself. And that these mindset checks are a reminder for you. And don't just repeat them and do nothing with them. I want you to repeat them, share them out loud with yourself every single day. And I want you to, let's do a little challenge with it. For every mindset check, what action item are you going to take? I think it's really important that as you are trying to gather yourself, trying to go through different experiences, it's one thing to just say it, but it's really great when you're able to focus on it, take an action item with it. So if you're saying, I'm good with budgeting and finding freedom in managing my money, the next step might be downloading a budgeting app if you don't have one, pulling up an Excel document, right? And uploading that and just putting in the numbers for the month, downloading your bank statement from the last month and look at, okay, this is where my money is going, right? So how about this month, right? We're still early in the month, only a couple of days into the month of May. This is where my money has been going. Is that where I want it to go? Is that what I want to be able to do with my money? Does that help me with my goals and what's next? So when I'm saying I'm good with budgeting, it's going to be more than just words. And I'm saying I find freedom in managing my money. You're finding that freedom in taking back control over mindless swiping so that you're not getting overly anxious about where your money is going or where it's not going or where it feels like it's just disappearing into a black hole, right? So what are you going to do about that? When you're saying, when my mental health is slipping, I will reach out to someone I trust. And good action item for that will be making a list. Who do you trust? Right? Who do you trust that you could talk about when life is challenging? And sometimes the people around you may not be a good fit. If that person is, you're going through some challenges with them, then it's a good idea to then seek an alternate resource. Who's someone I trust that maybe is a neutral third party to help me work through the situation? I want to be able to maintain this relationship. So I'm going to call on a third party to help intercede on our behalf or counsel us on our behalf. I'm going through these struggles. I got to work through my mindset mess. And I'm no longer using the excuse of this is just who I am. So I'm going to be broken. I'm going to live in this trauma. I'm going to embrace this trauma. There's a way out of that, my friend. That is not who you're meant to be forever. You're supposed to take experiences and lessons from that. Gather the necessary resources, be counseled through it, and see how you can use your overcoming to be a testimony to somebody else who's going to come after you to go through that. So, who is it that you can trust? Find a counselor. There's online resources. There's the BetterHelps of the world. Your organization might have an employee assistance program and some free counseling resources just to take a look at that. Go see your doctor. Your doctor might be a really good place to start. Like, hey, this is what's going on with me. I'm finding that my mood is doing this, this, and this, and that. Can you help me work through it? I don't even know what it means. You don't even need to know how it means. That's what it means, because that's what the professionals are there for. So who can you trust? Or when you're in a dark corner in your room at night and the weight of the world is on your shoulders, you can also, may I encourage you to dial 988 on your phone. If you're in the United States, dial 988. What 988 is the crisis hotline. Somebody at any time, 2 o'clock in the morning, doesn't matter. 3 p.m. in the afternoon, doesn't matter. Someone is going to be available to talk you through. And they'll provide even more resources where you may be tempted to put a permanent solution to a very temporary situation. Because I acknowledge that crises happens. I acknowledge that panic happens. I acknowledge that there's anxiety in certain things, no matter how old you are. But let me tell you something, that your life matters and has value. And someone out there cares about you. There is someone who cares about you. And even if it's a stranger on the other side of the line, right? Your life has value. It really, really does. So let me just encourage you to use that as a resource. Again, it's 988. I will link their website as well below. And there's so much more that we could talk about when it comes to mental health and when it comes to awareness. So I just wanted to highlight just a little bit there around the statistics that we're seeing. I know I mentioned many of them that are based in the United States, but of course, across the world, mental health issues are prevalent. We're humans, we're going through some things. So let me just encourage you. I want you to go into the next couple of days just feeling more confident in who you are and that somebody cares about you. And when in doubt, God loves you. God loves you. You know, I'm going to talk about faith because that's the background. And I truly believe that, and that He sees you in that pain. He sees you in the struggle, and He's with you in that, because we go through some of this pain and suffering as a result of the broken world that we live in. But I don't want you to continue to be in a space that you're broken. So there's resources for you, friend. I'm going to link them in the show notes. I want you to share what your action items are from the mindset checks. And until we chat again next Wednesday, be well, take care, and just remember again that your life matters and has so much value. If you found this episode to be valuable, please leave us a review, leave us a comment, feedback, topics you want me to continue to talk about on Spotify, Apple. If you want to see my face, connect with me. I am also on YouTube for the video component of this podcast. Take good care, and I will see you again soon.